Welcome to Capital to the Coast BNI. My name is Mike Manning. Each week, we bring you a local small business success story from one of our chapters in either the Triangle region or the coastal region. And if you're familiar with North Carolina, that stretches from the Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill area, we call the Triangle, all the way to the coast, where we have 10 chapters in the Wilmington area and growing every week. Our local, if you're not familiar with BNI, it is Business Networking International, the world's largest networking organization. Our goal each week as a BNI member is to help another BNI member grow their business. And our local small business success story this week is Lorrain Chai, owner of Solopreneur to Entrepreneur. She is a member of RDO5 Triangle Business Builders. They meet Thursday mornings at 8:15 a.m. at the Triangle Shooting Academy. So if you're anytime you're in that area on a Thursday morning, please drop in. A good group of business professionals. Lorraine, how you doing today?
Hey, Mike. I'm doing amazing.
Glad to have you on here. So, folks, we're in for a treat today. So, let me just tick off the things Lorraine is doing and successful at. So, and again, my show, Lorraine, so I can use that word, just instant success. Okay. So, business growth coach, which is solopreneur to entrepreneur, international speaker, best selling author, music tutor, and musician, and speaks three languages. Did I get the highlights?
Yes, I'm also an international speaker, so I do
I got
speak
that.
around
Yeah,
as
that
well.
was
Yeah.
international speaker, best-selling author, tutor, speaks 3 languages. So, glad to have you on the show today. Love having business coaches on because we focus on growing, starting and or growing a business. One of the things looking at your looking on your LinkedIn page and kind of reading up a little bit more about you, love the quote you have, says, "I empower them to transition confidently." So I like that. So transitioning from what to what?
Transitioning from where they are to where they should be, because I think sometimes when we get into a new place of uncomfortableness, as I like to call it, or a place that they're not familiar with, is we tend to doubt ourselves and we tend to make slower decisions. So it's moving and transitioning with someone like me to kind of encourage them to move towards that right direction.
When somebody is thinking about starting a business, what, I don't want to say the missing ingredient they're missing to get started, but what's that little nudge somebody like you gives them to get going or help them kind of decide what they want to do?
It's knowing the goal, because sometimes we all think, owning a business and we're successful without understanding what kind of goal we're headed towards to. It's creating the goal and clarity in terms of what they want to achieve and how they want to achieve in the shortest period of time.
Yeah, because a lot of times we'll meet people that they know the skill, landscaper, painter, IT person, whatever, and they're generally tired of working for corporate America, and they've been thinking for years about starting their own, but they're missing the goal. So, what kind of things do you help them think about?
Sometimes people think that business owners owning a business is business means that you're successful, right? But in terms of what I get them to think about is the bigger picture. Like, is this where you're supposed to be, or is there a bigger picture in terms of how large your business or idea could be? Is it just domestically, or could we bring that idea towards internationally? Could we link you up to somewhere where another business has not tapped into?
Do they give you a blank stare sometimes when you ask them that?
Oh, usually yes, and usually they're like, "Oh, no, 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 I can't do this." And then after a couple of months, they're like, "You know what? That idea you planted to me a couple of months ago, I think I can do it."
So when you first meet with them, if they have a goal, generally, what is that goal they share with you?
Usually it's typical, right? Is I want to have that freedom. I want to have the financial freedom. I want to have that time freedom. It's like, okay, but what's the goal here? So I help them through it, creating a couple of goals, be it personal goal as well as business goals. Because I always tell people it's not just all about the business. It's about the balance between family, business, but also yourself, because you are the engine that is driven towards the success that you have or that you need for your business.
Yeah, and small bit or business ownership is not for the faint of heart. for a number of reasons. And one of them is you're the last line of defense. So just when you think you can go to bed and, some things aren't done yet. What are some of the goals that they've started with and found out? Does it take long for them to realize, okay, I kind of see that this is going somewhere. I'm ready for the next level.
So I would take one of my clients for example, right? They thought, all right, I want to start a business. Lorraine, you need to help me. This is my idea. And usually by the end of the first session, they're like,
Mm,
you know what? I think I don't know what I want to do now. But you know what? I think you can help me through that process. So even though you may have an idea which doesn't come out as an idea, it's more of having someone who is an expert in business or expert in the industry to see things that you may not see. So, right, it's
mm,
experience. And it's not just all about the certification or whatever course someone takes, but someone that is familiar with the business sense or has been surrounded with people in the business sense to be able to guide you through that
mm,
properly. But the thing is, the difference between a successful business and someone that's back to the 9 to 5 job is the fear, doubt.
mm.
Is I am so afraid to fail because I've got a family. I'm afraid of taking that chance because what happens? What if, you know? But the thing is, what if you succeed?
Mm.
What if that decision is the decision that you need to change your life?
Yeah, we generally need someone else to point that out. Okay, Mike, picture if it's successful. So I'm glad you talk with them through that because we always see like my brother has been a serial small business owner probably since like 1993, and he's had owned a number of businesses, and he always starts with, okay, if this goes completely sideways and falls apart and is done, how does that affect my life? And then he
Mm.
builds up that way. Whereas others, I'm sure you've met with, come in and go, hey, I think I can do this and I want this life and I'll put all the bricks together later.
As my coach said, my coach told me, you think of best case scenario, worst case
Mm.
scenario, and most likely, because then you can make
Uh,
the decision. But it's also the transition is what happens if something bad happens. That is
mm.
how quickly can you change that, or how quickly can you transition out of that to create a solution.
I like that most likely scenario. Um, when you're working with one of your clients and you get to that most likely scenario, do they think, "Yeah, I can do that?"
Yeah, it's more of convincing themselves, right? Because I can't tell them what to do or how it's supposed to be. It's more of that journey where you are the one that makes that decision at the end
Mm,
of the day. You're the one that convinces yourself. So I always tell my clients, you are in control of you. It's not me. I'm just
mm,
guiding you, but you are in control of you. So you are the one that make that decision
mm.
whether or not this is the route you want to take, whether or not you trust yourself and you trust me as a business coach to help you towards that journey towards the success that I know as a business coach and can see in my clients itself.
Do you prefer a potential client coming to you with a well thought out idea or, "Hey, I've been thinking about this for a while?"
No, I think it's more of how desperate are you are, how desperate you are for that change.
Mhm,
Because I can work with anything. I can work with clients that have no idea whatsoever, but wants to start, wants to create a brand in order to start something. I've worked with people who are transitioning from a 9 to 5 job to creating
mm.
something, on the side, or those that already have a business but wants to bring their business up to the next level.
When you're working with somebody, because we see this quite often, when you're working with somebody that does have a 9 to 5 job, but with an idea and a plan, I'm going to have my own business. What what transition? How do you work them through when to if? And I know there's not a black and white answer, so bear with me on this. When is the right time to leave that 9 to 5 to follow your dream of having your own business?
So the thing is, it's looking in terms of the revenue that you have, right? It's how much money do you have coming in? How much can you support yourself? Because we don't want you to stress about the financial part. So it's a scale, like one business and the new business that you're creating. The new business has no money coming in, but you currently have your 9 to 5 job.
Mm,
It's tipping the scale. Sometimes it's tipping the scale. Sometimes you can change from a full-time 9 to 5 job to part-time while building out once you start building clientele in your new business. But it is a different situation with all, but it also depends on how well you are in terms of balancing it all out too. Because I've had clients that have their 9 to 5 job and is creating a business. So both incomes grow, but by the time their main business that they want to build is up to a level where they are capable of letting go of their 9 to 5 job, that's okay too. But I'm there to support and create a framework where it works for them and it doesn't, as people like to use, burnout,
Mm.
so to say.
So, what are kind of the tips you help them with when they are working 9 to 5, but their business is growing and they're not necessarily running out of hours in the day, but they're really working double time? What kind of things do you talk with them about keeping in mind?
It's going back to their goals. Like, what is the end goal here? When do you need to achieve what you want to achieve? Are you someone that pushes yourself beyond the limitations of an average person, or are you someone that just wants to cruise? Then it's kind of framing it in a way, because maybe they it's their health part. Like, oh, okay, let's work on the health part. Like maybe you have to
Mm,
take a couple of hours for yourself. Maybe it's the family part. Oh, have you spent time with the missus or with Mister? Have you spent time with the kids? Do you have time for yourself? Like, what's the balance there for you to be able to work without feeling, that you're overwhelmed by everything? Because
mm,
we always need to look after the person itself, the human
yeah.
being itself, before anything else. So I always ask that question when I meet my clients: is that how's it going? Like, what's the best thing that happened? What are things that could be improved? Like, what do you think?
Yeah, because you hear from a fair number of business owners, especially if they're new, like, "I'll do that when I get home."
Mhm.
Especially if there's a service industry, like, I'll do the books when I get home, I'll do all that stuff, and that a lot of times is just a recipe for disaster.
So my clients have I hold them accountable and they text me on a daily basis and I see their documents. And there are times where I text my clients. So example, let's say Sue. I don't have a client named Sue, but let's say Sue. Sue, what's going on? You're not working on your business. You're doing all the tiny stuff. You're not working on the business. So I'll send like quick text messages like that because we tend to procrastinate a lot, I
Mm.
think.
Do business owners get they're more comfortable working in the business versus on the business?
They like to do simple stuff, right?
Okay.
It's like I would rather clear my desk than having to crack my brain on a problem.
So looking at the solopreneur to entrepreneur, why did you hire a business coach?
I hired a business coach because I knew that my brand could be so much more. I think it's more of, and I'll share this story because I think it resonates with some people that hear it, right? So I got into hiring business coaches is because I did a very stupid mistake which has led me in losing 6 figures. And for me, it was the thought process was, all right, I worked so hard to build my business up to 6 figure and build an international brand. Like, how can I fast track all of that? I'm sure that there are like 7, 8 figure coaches out there that have found that solution and will be able to help me through that fast processing everything instead of me trying to figure it out again. So that was when I started hiring coaches. Was like all my profits went back into myself, investing in myself, and them fast tracking everything that I have, figured out and found out for myself in my own business, which really helped because when the first year when I started investing in coaches, my accountant actually said, Lorraine, you got to stop spending. Like, what are you doing? Lorraine, stop, slow down. But the following year, when I stepped into his office, he nodded and he was like, now I know why you did what you did because it shows in the figures.
And how long did that take things to kind of fall back into place where you needed them and wanted them to be?
Within a year, and then it's reinvesting some more. It's going international, building relationships with better people internationally. So it's continuously reinvesting. I don't just invest in a coach and then that's it, like for 6 months or 1 year. It's a continuous learning process for me, and I love it because every single day business changes, AI changes,
Mm.
and I don't have that kind of knowledge in terms of that. So I'm always willing and ready to learn, and the reason why I have my coaches is because they are in tune with today's business internationally. So whatever I have in terms of questions or challenges, I'll go directly to my coaches and ask them.
And the investment from your end is both time and money into
Oh,
coaches,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah. And the thing is, with the knowledge that I've gained from my coaches, it has helped my clients
Mhm.
too.
Yeah. No, 100% on that. All right, so let's go back to the formative days of solopreneur to entrepreneur. So first of all, how did you come up? Always intrigued by company names. Love the stories behind it. How did you come up with that?
So I can't get credit for this. This is my coach's suggestion. My coach suggested that, and then he said to you can always grow it from entrepreneur to building an empire and stuff like that, which is what I've already been doing
Mhm.
anyway. But I think the interesting story was like I've been doing my business, and I've been in business for more than 20 years, and I've always been mentoring and coaching for free. So my business coaches were like, why don't you put a figure on it? You love it so much. Like, why don't you just do, coaching and, use your experience and what you've learned with helping other people and put a figure on it instead of all the other things that you're doing. It's like, oh, okay. So it grew from what I love doing to actually doing it as, part of my life, really.
Day one, way back when, of solopreneur to entrepreneur. What were the best things you did to get the word out to help you start growing your book of business?
In terms of this coaching business,
Mhm.
I started out by going to places that I wasn't familiar with. So my original business was in music, which means that my people that I know were all musicians and or in that atmosphere. So what I did was get out of that for myself. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But for me, it was getting out of that circle, going to business conferences, networking with people, go flying internationally. I would fly internationally to conferences in the US while I was in Australia. Took that effort and network, build relationships, and that was where it started. I even got a client while being in Dubai, and she's actually based in the US. So things can happen, but
Yeah.
it's more building that relationship and and giving value to people
Mhm.
that you meet.
So when did you know this business model and this business plan was working for you?
The moment I met my coach. No, he gave me a lot of assurance. And, I was stuck with the name for a while. Like, I was like, oh, I need to create a name that works. So I literally changed my business name like a couple of times. And I tell my clients this, like, if you're building a business, the name of a business is not important. It's the meat of the business that is
Mhm.
important. So people get so hung around with hung about with the name or the color and stuff like that. But it's like, no, you need to create you as a person. We need to create the meat of your business, and then the name can always be changed. Like I met Brian Smith, the founder of Outputs, and I got to spend time with him. And the question was asked, like, is the name really important? And he goes, no, name is not important at all. You can always change it. You can always, improve it. But it's more of creating the identity of the product or service that you're trying to put out there.
Where is a good place to start for somebody who has the business idea, but they haven't come up with a name yet?
Get a business coach.
Okay.
No, look, it's creating that network and just play around with the name, right? Maybe you can start with one name first. It could be, let's say, SpongeBob SquarePants.
Mhm.
Let's give it that. We'll start with that first. And then the thing is, once your identity changes, once you start growing and developing yourself, maybe you can always change it back. But I would say if you are a solopreneur, to use your name first and brand your name first before a business name, because people resonate more to you as a person rather than the company or the business. And you can always associate yourself, say, yeah, now I've actually started a business company itself. So people remember you as a person rather than the company. Like people remember Steve Jobs,
Yep.
right? So and people like Samsung, that's just a brand, but nobody knows who the face of Samsung is. So who do people resonate more with? The business name
Yeah.
or the person?
Well,
So
and
it's
that
literally building
yeah.
you
Mhm.
because you are the brand.
Yeah, and that's something we talk about in BNI a lot. I'm sure around the world in non-BNI places as well, that a lot of times you're buying the person. Because I met Lorrain, she's awesome, and you could change her name 10 more times and they're still going to stay with you.
Mm,
But I like that to brand their name, which is them, because a lot of times, and most people don't really care what the brand name is. They just they found met somebody or found something. So I'm glad to hear that from you as well. That because it's you they're buying. I mean, 9 times out of 10, the product or services we buy, it's usually because of a person, right?
mm,
Yeah, well, my wife loves Amazon. She's not tied to a product, but our HVAC person, our insurance person, our banker, we know personally.
mm.
And they
Absolutely.
could, like my brother followed, I don't know if he's still with her, but he had followed this one lady. He got connected with her probably in the mid 90s, a banker, and he followed her to 4 different banks in the triangle just because
True.
she knew exactly what he needed, and anytime he called, she was there.
Absolutely. It's the same. Like I had a life insurance and my friend moved from one company to the next. And then I'm like, no, I'm following you. I
Mhm.
don't want to be transferred to another agent. I'm following you.
Yeah.
So it's creating that trust, right? And building that relationship between clients.
Yeah, and as I get older, you know, your back hurts a little bit more, get older and pain start happening, right? So I have a massage therapist and a chiropractor, and they have each moved to a different location, and I told them they told me, "It's like, I don't care, just give me the address. I go where you go." So, which is a great I think that's probably one of the highest compliments a business owner could get from a client, I think.
Mm.
They just tell me where you're going because you're my person, so alright, so you coach people all over the world. Is there a commonality in the entrepreneurial spirit of business owners and entrepreneurs around the world?
In terms of entrepreneurial spirit, yes. Like I love the eagerness to learn. I love how business owners are open for the possibility, right? It's like, oh my gosh, I'm a business owner. I like the spark in their eyes when they start talking about what they're really good
Mhm,
at. So it's and I always tell them I'm like, where was that energy, when I met you back in the day? Like that's the energy we need to use to put up as a forefront with you getting more clients. So, talking with prospects. Like we need to see that energy.
mm. It's usually yeah, it's usually there the first week or the month, and then they realize, "Oh my gosh, I've gotta cut grass, I've gotta do the books, I need to hire somebody, my truck is messing up," and they realize that they quickly go from 1 or 2 hats in their corporate world to 9 hats in their small business world, and I always tell people the first 2 things you need to look to outsource is your bookkeeping and your social media because 'cause you're not gonna be consistent usually with either
Yeah.
one of them, and
Yeah.
especially with social media. I mean, it's a great idea for today, but in a week, it's like, "Oh, I gotta post again." So
Yes. So like with business owners, I tap into their forte, right? Whether or
yeah,
not it's what they love and how to simplify it where people understand it. Because sometimes when somebody loves what they do, they get so engrossed in their knowledge and what they know in the brain that it doesn't communicate well with their prospect or clients. So my job is, all right, let's simplify it where when you identify the person you're talking to and in terms of what's happening in your mind, you would be able to understand, okay, this information would help them understand what I do, or that information will help
mhm.
them in terms of the outcome that they will get while working with me.
As you as a business owner yourself, what things did you or do you outsource so you can stay focused on what your wheelhouse is?
Accountancy. I don't want to do those tax returns. Look, as a business owner, and I always tell my clients this, like, you need to understand and you need to know your numbers
Mhm,
because that is crucial in terms of your planning and your goals, right? But I don't want to know the codes and what to put in what box and stuff. Like, the accountants can do that. But in terms of the figures, I need to know the figures. And my accountants love me. They're like, "Oh my gosh, like you're the easiest client we have because you just give us everything on spreadsheets." But
ah,
yeah,
nice.
because I need to know. Like I need to know what is like conference or networking expenses. I need to know how much I'm spending in flights and travel and how much I'm spending in the business and where can I put money aside to grow the
Mm,
business. So that's how I work. So I always ask clients like, how much money do you have that's available in your business to grow that business? Because then I can plan something for you to make it work for yourself. So that's one of it. I always try social media people
Mm.
because but the thing is it's not just going to a social media person and going, oh, make me famous. It's understanding the what to say to them and the expectation that you want from them. So my job as a business coach is to help my clients through that, the language to give out to people that they hire, instead of, yeah, I get me more clients for marketing, like, yeah, but you also need to understand the basic of what you're trying to leverage out. It's not just leveraging out sales just because you hate sales. It's not leveraging out social media just because you hate social media. It's also understanding, this is what I want out of this. I want to be able to, say this message out where it sounds like me, this is my expectation. These are the hashtags that I think you can try, or these are the kind of messages that I want you to do. Or like marketing, you can't just hire any marketing person. You also need to understand the basics, system of how marketing works before you hire somebody, because you're just wasting time and money if you just hire anyone without understanding the foundation and the basic of how marketing, or let's say social media works, or let's say sales, because people usually leverage out sales because they hate sales. So it's
Mm.
like, do you have a formula in terms of closing for your business, or you just hiring someone just for the sake of hiring?
Do you find that the marketing people and the social media people need to know a lot or some versus just something about your industry? Or if they're just very good at what they do, they can figure out your industry and help you grow?
I always tell people that I hire, I'm like, you have to catch up with the way that my business will be developing, because my message can change depending on how I see where it needs to change. I always allow them to give me feedback. So I don't, but a lot of companies out there is like, just tell me what to do and I do it for you.
Mm.
So for me is, I will tell you what to do, but like, I want you to experiment too. I want you to also grow to see, how you can bring out, like, let's say, bringing tractions and stuff like that. Like, I've had companies where they're like, "Oh, I think you should try this reel," and for me, it's like cringy. It's like, what kind of reel is that? That's not really part of my brand. But I'm like, okay, fine. I'm willing to try to see how that would resonate with my brand and my company. So it's more of trial and error, but it's understanding if the company is a company that is also maximizing the use of its time. Like, I had a company I hired where they're using old tools to create my social media, which means that they're wasting a lot of hours and the time which I'm paying for. So, it's using the concept of AI, right? There's so much AI programs out there that we can utilize to maximize the outcome instead of wasting time trying to create something with an old software. So that's what I'm saying. It's understanding today's technology in order to understand when to change, let's say, a company you hired, to leverage out properly to the right people that would help you through that process.
So what kind of things do you do to promote your business and market your business?
So many different things I've tried. I've tried the Facebook marketing. I've tried, let's say, going around in communities in terms of marketing. I also tried creating advertising on Google, depending on the business itself. But it's also networking with the right people. That's the kind of marketing that I've tried. I haven't gone big enough, like, let's say, newspapers. I don't think I've done
Mm.
newspapers because I think it depends on the country as well. People are moving away from newspapers, but like business magazines, depends on the location, depends on the target audience that you are getting into. There's so many different available marketing, ways of helping your business grow. It's more of, where are your clientels, where are you gonna, put it out there, where is it going? Is it on a screen? Is it at the airport? Is it someone that reads the books? Is it someone that reads magazine while waiting to get their hair done? I don't know, but it's more of, where are your clients, and where do you want to tap into, and how much are you willing to spend?
Is that what got you into BNI?
Yes, of course. The funny story about that is the fact that I had a guy that called me one day and he said, "Oh, yeah, I've been following you for a couple of years now. I haven't met him." And he said, "Oh, we know each other because you used to supervise me in my exam when I was studying in Malaysia. And we never spoke to each other until that day, but he introduced me to the whole concept of BNI back in Australia. And my siblings are BNI members in Malaysia. So yeah, it's absolutely an international, networking kind of thing that has benefited a little business for sure.
Now, any type of coach sometimes can be a little tricky in BNI. There's some seats in BNI that people go, I can't afford you, and you've never even had a conversation with them, and that's one hurdle I know you come across. But what have you found? Because I know you are very. There are 31 chapters in the Triangle area here, and I bet you've visited almost half of them by now.
90%, 85%.
Very good. What are you finding out? What are you learning?
I'm learning it's either someone is scared to give a business coach a go
Mm.
or they've been burnt.
Ah.
So I have a client that I convinced to join me, and he said he was burnt by a previous coach. I'm like, look, if you're burnt by me, that means I'm the wrong person to have. And the thing is, you don't know if you hire the right person until you try. Because
Mm,
I've gone through a couple of business coaches. I outgrew them. I knew that they were not the right fit, and I just moved on. You don't know until you try. It's like you don't know if a computer works for you unless you try it. Like, what made you purchase your first computer? By trying, because you
mm,
can't be fearful about that. In terms of price, I do understand people are scared to invest in something that they've never tried, right? So when I found one of my coaches, the automatic response from me was that's too expensive and I can't do it. And I walked away. So like one of my coaches, I'm like, Brent, I want you to coach me. And then he goes, "No, I'm not taking any more clients anymore." I'm like, "No, I want you to coach me." So he said, "Okay, this is the price." Automatic response, "It's too expensive. I can't do it." I walked away, but I was like, "Why?" Because I've already made the decision that I want that help and I absolutely want to pivot. And I know it's a stupid decision. It's a no. It's limiting myself. It's holding myself back. So I came back to him. I'm like, I don't know why I said that, but you know what? I'm gonna figure out how to pay if it's a installment in terms of installment payment. I'll figure out the rest of it. I just need to start now.
mm.
So that's where I brought myself towards to. And yeah, with that mentality, things actually happen. Like business comes forward, and it's helped me pay those investments. And that's what I always continuously do. It's like whatever opportunity that comes my way, that's what I'll take. So with people out there that's listening, it's more of what is holding you back from achieving what you can achieve.
Mm. And a lot of times it's us, isn't it?
Hmm. Hmm.
I like the theme throughout the show here is just try. You've applied that in many things in your personal life, probably in business life, with good results, I assume, because you tried it and learned something from it.
Well, that's the thing. You don't know until you do it,
Yeah.
right? So this is my second migration. So I migrated once from Malaysia to Australia and Australia to the US.
Mm,
And my parents had a fit. I love you, mom and dad, but they had a fit. And I didn't tell anyone for a reason because I knew people would say, "What the hell are you doing, Lorraine?" But I knew what I wanted to do, and I didn't need to hear it from those kind of people. So dad sat down with me. I visited them in Malaysia. Dad sat down with me, and he had that parent talk. And I understand where he was coming from,
mm,
a good place as a parent. He said, "Lorraine, what are you doing? Like, you're throwing everything away. Like, why are you going to the US? It's a bad time to go to the US. You shouldn't be taking risks." So love him to bits,
mm,
but I try not to laugh because I come from a family of doctors. And I literally said to him, I'm like, Dad, I'm one of your only kids that has not had any debt, has grown her business to six figures, has brought her brand to international. Don't you think I would have considered all the options in terms
mm,
of why all the decisions that I've done to lead me up to today in order to make that decision to move to the US? So he's never questioned me ever since.
yeah, and we're once a parent, always a parent.
I
Mine,
know.
we have 2 boys, 30, 38. Yeah, soon to be 39 and soon to be 35. And you never stop parenting, you never stop worrying, and but you're right, and I can hear my boy saying that to me. It's like, do we need to have this conversation? And you had proven globally you have built up a wonderful brand and a wonderful business. But yeah, it's the parent in us that always has
I
to ask
know. So
questions.
like I said, I completely understand that.
Yep.
But it's you all have to take that calculated risk. So,
Mhm.
that's what I'm saying. Like, what's the best case scenario, the worst case scenario, and the most likely? Because if you're not looking at all the options, then how would you know that you're making the right decision or the wrong decision? And
Yep.
like I said, if you made the wrong decision, it's okay. We learn from failure. Then you just find a solution out of it and just move on instead of marinating in that challenge
Yeah.
or the problem.
So as a child, did you try a lot of different things growing up just to see?
Oh, my parents held me back. I love you guys, but they held me back because they're trying to protect me, right?
Mm,
And I told my parents, I'm like, you need to allow us to fail because maybe that's what we need in order for us to succeed. I love you guys, but I want to fail and I want to be able to work around things and be able
mm.
to, build my life rather than be dependent on my parents.
My oldest granddaughter, I got a story the other day about her. They're at her other grandparents' house up in Virginia for a couple weeks, and she was coming down the steps one couple mornings ago and got to the second step from the bottom and just decided to jump onto the floor, and she landed and lost her balance and rolled and started crying because it surprised her that she would fall and all that, but now she knows and she's more careful when she leaps from the second step. But you're right, you gotta try to figure out because the only way to learn it is to do that stuff. No, I like those stories a lot. Your business coaching skills. You are also, we talked earlier, you're a music tutor and a musician. So, do the same kind of coaching thoughts and skill set or mindset from you come into play, whether it's a business coach or a musician you are tutoring?
I'm also a music conductor as well as a qualified school teacher. So let's add on to that.
Please do.
No,
Yep.
yeah, look, my resume is quite large in that perspective, but like learning for me was always easy. For me, it was understanding my clients in order to help them grow. So that was the skill that I learned because it's understanding where how their brains work and how to make them understand it from their point of view. That has helped me. So being a teacher helped me because it allowed me to understand a human being from their point of view in order to explain something where they could understand it rather than from textbooks. So with helping clients, like I can resonate with them, I can explain it to them where they understand things. I can create a system that will work for them that doesn't overwhelm them.
Do you listen to a lot of different kind of music? Just you as
Yeah.
Lorraine in downtimes or driving?
It depends how I feel. People are like, okay, what's your go-to music? It's
Yeah.
like I don't really have a go-to music. It depends on how I feel. If I feel angry, maybe probably like hard rock or like I don't know, heavy metal. I don't
All right.
know. But it really depends. I do like jazz. I do like theater because there was one stage in time where I was going to be a music actress, actually doing music theater at one point in my life. Yes.
Do you find yourself listening to a new song for the first time with your tutor hat on or just your consumer of music hat on?
Tutor, I would say. Yes. I always analyze the
Yep.
lyrics, or let's say I'm in a live performance and I'll be like, "Oh, that horn player is out of tune," or somebody's not doing the right thing. Yeah,
Alright,
it's
so
the
you
perfectionist within
yeah.
me.
Now, are you more interested in the lyrics or the music, the beat, whatever you wanna call it?
I've been trained to analyze everything, and I think that's why I'm good in the business sense because I analyze everything. In music, I remember we had to analyze the structure of the music. So maybe that's why my curiosity got the hold of me in terms of analyzing the business and all aspects of the business. What do I look in terms of that is I look at how someone introduces the music, how someone introduces the business. What's the middle part of the music,
Mhm.
right? The meat. What's the story you're trying to sell? The same thing with business. What's the story you're trying to sell in your business or your story you're trying to sell in the service? What's the ending part of the music? Like how do you end it? Do you end it nice where it keeps me thinking about the music? Or do you end it abruptly or is it really bad ending? So it's like the ending of the business. Like how what's the end result that you want to bring towards your business itself. So it's all transferable skills that I have, and I use it to my advantage. Like the acting part, I use that to help me in terms of me, speaking up
Mhm.
on stage. So that's been really helpful.
So you have earned a number of degrees from a couple of different schools, but
hmm
going back to the University of Sydney, where you got a Bachelor of Music Studies, the day you enrolled at the University of Sydney, what was the plan?
I feel like that was my mom's plan. Yeah. Look, some parents are like, no, this is the journey they're gonna take. At that time, I think a lot of people at that age don't know what they want to do right in life. Like you study in school this years, you've been taught to listen, and that's what you're gonna do. Like some of us know what we want to do from the very beginning. So for me, it's like I knew that I was good in music, and I thought, okay, like this is what I want to do without understanding what the outcome was after I graduated. So I did music studies because of that. But I did it because I thought of coming to the US as a music tutor, or music teacher. So I was going to do my next degree in education, which allows me to get two degrees rather than one as a music educator. So I finished off my music degree so that I can move on very quickly to education.
With your coaching business, I guess music to a point as well, but you told me that you do a lot of your music tutoring online, or a good bit of it. So with your business coaching, is that as that business grew, did you travel more or less to learn more, meet people, grow the business, all that good stuff?
I'm a kind of person that doesn't shut down opportunity.
Mm,
So, if there is an event that's happening that I know would be good, that's where I'll go. So when I was in Sydney, well, still running my business and also being a consultant with a couple of companies, there was an opportunity in Dubai that opened up. And for me, at that like months ago, I said, if an opportunity opened up again in Dubai, I'm going to be there. And I mean what I say in terms of what I say because I do what I say. So when an opportunity arose in terms of Dubai, I hopped on a plane and there I was, and that led me to a client. And it's the same thing when there was an opportunity in LA for, let's say, a conference, right? I hopped on the plane and there I was, creating valuable relationships, and I got clients from there. Not intentionally. I don't just go to people and go buy me, buy me. I'm the best coach, like invest. I build relationship and trusts. And it's up to them whether or not they want to take that leap of faith in terms of working with me.
and you enjoy traveling, I assume?
Yeah, so it deductibles, claim it on the tax. Yeah, I always take opportunity, whether or not it's a family trip. I always some people call me a workaholic, but it's being able to utilize and maximize the opportunity. So, I go back to Malaysia, I still visit BNI chapters there. I go back to Sydney, I visit BNI chapters there. Is that opportunity of networking with people in person as well, where you won't be able to do the same thing virtually.
And later on this year, you have a big speaking engagement in
Oh,
Australia.
yes.
Tell us about that, and is the preparation coming along?
So I have been invited to speak at the Opera House at a business conference. It's one of the biggest events that you will ever have. It's run and hosted by my coach, and he's given a lot of opportunities. So I remember him saying at one point, he's like, Lorraine, like you're one of the top three speakers in one of the events that we had. So I have that opportunity, and I took that opportunity. So I will be speaking there. In terms of preparation, you gotta go there to find out.
Alright.
So yeah,
Um,
it's a free event anyway. So if anyone wants to fly all the way to Sydney, then they can always attend that business conference for free. I'm sure it's free. If not, just let me know and I'll try and find something out.
okay,
But
right.
yeah, it's
Um,
a big thing, and
yeah,
I'm looking forward to it.
well, good. Good luck with that. So one tip before we close up shop here, somebody listening today is thinking about starting their own business. They're beyond the point of, "Oh, it would be fun if." I mean, they've got preparation, they got plans, they know they're headed that way. What's 1 or 2 things you would ask them to do to make sure they can get launched correctly, be successful, or whatever that is?
I had a guy that left his flooring this like company to start his own flooring company, and I always ask the question like, why did you hire me as a coach? So he said the reason why I want you is because I don't want to be staring at a screen figuring things out for myself. I want to do it the right way from the beginning. So the couple of things that I'll ask you guys to consider if you're starting something out from scratch is more of you need to understand what the plan is for 12 months. Like what are you trying to achieve for the next 12 months? What is of importance? What can you do to build that portfolio for in terms of clients? Do you have pre-existing people that you know? Can you build that relationship? Where should you go to build that relationship to get more prospects? What should you do which you think is more of priority? I know brand is the thing, and the thing is social media is the new virtual business card,
Mm.
so to say. So is there something you can create in terms of your brand to get started where people, when they start searching you, when you start meeting people, people will look you up instead of a business card. They will look you up as you did on LinkedIn. Is there something we can create to, grow your credibility in the industry you want to be in?
All right, folks, we've been putting Lorraine's number on the screen here during the show. You're going to need some help to start a business. Let me tell you that right now. It's kind of hard to do it on your own. Whether you hire her for 10 years or 2 years, that's up to you. But you're going to need to talk to someone like her. We've been putting her number up there. Please give her a call. Lorraine, we enjoy the stories, your travels. There's at least 2 other podcasts I could do with you just on your traveling alone. And just, we'd laughed before we came on the air that times you're aware of time zones. You have a 3 a.m. meeting tomorrow morning, right? So, yeah.
I have to wake up at 3 a.m. to have my 5 o'clock for my Australian clients. Yes.
Okay, there you go. So again, we'll definitely circle back again, but appreciate you being on the show, folks. Find some help. You're starting a business. You got to have somebody that can be your checks and balance to make sure what you think is right. Because sometimes we have to defend what we want to do and what we think is right, just to make sure it is right. And so you need professional, successful people like Lorraine. So Lorraine, very much enjoyed having you on the show today. Good luck with everything, and especially your speaking engagement in Australia. Look forward to hearing more stories about that.
Absolutely. I appreciate it, Mike.
And we'll see everybody next time on Capital to the Coast BNI.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com and DeltaForce.net.